Ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. This is your boy, the coach from the WWE. I would like to welcome you to the very first wrestling podcast in the world to take you on a weekly deep dive into classic matches along with legends of the squared circle. Enjoy the discussion. Enjoy the back and forth. There's so much to get into. Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Payoff.
Welcome to an all-new episode of The Payoff. I'm Tom. That's Jeff. Bret Hart, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels. How is this not going to be awesome?
I sure hope so. Like it's gotta be.
And we're right in the thick of it. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart hate each other. Undertaker, the sheriff of the locker room, in the middle of all this. It's on TV. It's happening in real life. We're getting close to the boiling point of Shawn and Bret. Taker and Shawn don't like each other. We're going to get that Hell in a Cell match coming up. This was a very, very good era, and I'm looking forward to this match.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is one where, why not? Kind of looking at the different matches we've covered. And this is one of those that it's flown under the radar for some reason. And so, for whatever reason, I don't know. So we'll just kind of have to see how this one plays out in the ring, but hopefully it should be pretty good.
Yeah, man. I mean, I have high expectations for this one. I kind of remembered the end, but not really. So this will be a fun one to cover. You want to jump right into it?
Let's do it.
All right, man. It's time for The Build.
Oh, it's time for The Build.
SummerSlam 1997. And where are we, Jeff? We're right back in East Rutherford, New Jersey, just like we were in 1989 last week. So 20,000 in attendance, August 3rd, 1997. And this is going to be our main event. We've covered this show before. I'll quickly buzz through it because it was a pretty darn good show. Mankind defeats Triple H in a great steel cage match. Goldust defeats Brian Pillman in 7 minutes. Legion of Doom defeat the Godwins in 9 minutes. Bulldog retains his European Championship over Ken Shamrock by DQ. Las Boricuas are going to defeat the Disciples of Apocalypse in an 8-man tag match. Semi-main event, Stone Cold, Owen Hart. We know all about that match and how it ended. And then our main event, Bret Hart, Undertaker, WWF Championship, Shawn Michaels, a special guest referee. And Jeff, we're in for a long one, 28 minutes. So, but it should be a good one. How did we get to this match? And I know there's a lot of moving pieces in 1997.
Yeah, so we do. So like you said, 1997, that summer, we are August 3rd, but we're going to go back, though. WrestleMania 13 earlier this year, you had Undertaker was the reigning champion, winning the title from Psycho Sid at that event. Bret Hart coming off really a double turn at the same event. He taking on Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was, of course, now the heel persona, the anti-American, leading the Hart Foundation, kind of bothering American fans, but of course in Canada getting cheered like crazy. Vince, though, kind of threw some of the promos on this one, billed this one as a must-win for Bret. The quote was, if Bret Hart does not win the WWE title at SummerSlam, he will never wrestle in the United States again. So, real big stipulations on that one. Vince playing up the heel angle on this as well at this point. So, you had Shawn Michaels added as the special guest referee. Of course, we all know the Bret and Shawn real life heat behind the scenes, on scene or on screen, however you want to look at it. But there was also as well, that was more behind the scenes. On screen, you also had Undertaker and Shawn Michaels feuding a little bit as well too. And so Michaels being the special guest referee going into this, you really didn't know kind of which side he was going to take. And so that added another layer to this of, was he going to call it straight? What, could he turn on someone? What was going to happen here? You just didn't know. And so, because in a lot of ways, like Bret was kind of being booked better at this point, and was the champ, and so we kind of knew that, and so it was very much like, would Shawn screw Bret? Would Shawn screw Taker? Would Bret win and leave the U.S. behind still? Could Undertaker, would he get turned on? Like just like you said, a lot of moving pieces on this one, both because of the on-screen kind of story that was being told, but then also some behind-the-scenes stuff here too, that's happening. And a little bit of a spoiler here. We know not too long after this, I believe some of our listeners may have heard of something called the Montreal Screwjob is not too far on the horizon here. So I think we have to, before this match, even acknowledge some of the behind-the-scenes stuff that was happening and the conversations that, we as fans at that time wouldn't have been aware of. But that there was definitely stuff going on back there that we weren't aware of.
All right. Got a lot to talk about.
Yep.
2 hour, 16-minute mark of SummerSlam 1997. Jeff, are you ready?
Should be. Yep. Let's rock and roll.
It's time for the payoff.
Oh, it's time for the payoff.
He's the WWF version of Mills Lane. I wonder if he's going to tell him to get it on. I don't think they need any encouragement.
Bret Hart, Taker, both looking great.
Shawn Michaels himself.
Vince on commentary with JR.
I'm sorry, both Bret Hart and The Undertaker at SummerSlams.
Shawn Michaels is your special guest referee.
Has only lost once. That was last year, thanks to Paul Bearer to Mankind.
It's always interesting, like when you take a guy like Shawn Michaels, who clearly could have wrestled during this era or during this month or whatever, and he's not, because it's like, okay, well, would this card have been better if a Shawn Michaels match was on it? Well, yeah, of course. Not that it wasn't a really good card, but hey, it'd be nice to have Shawn Michaels in a match. But I understand what we're building to and how we're going about this. So, all right, we're gonna get off to a fast start. Bret attacks Taker with the belt. Bret's your heel at this point, of course. Okay, so
Bret your heel, but yeah, Taker, yeah.
Bret Hart has got to use all his technical expertise, all his knowledge.
It's wild because I'm just thinking of our match last week with Warrior and Rude. The crowd was louder.
Yeah.
Just interesting. Not that they won't get out this one, I'm sure, but it's just funny how glued they were to that match at that point. So, all right, we're on the outside of the ring. Just to jump into the timeline a little bit more. So, Bret and Shawn in 92, they had their singles matches, pretty calm, respected each other. But man, by 1997, we were just in a whole different era. So May of 97 was the Sunny Days promo. So that's the one where Shawn's mocking Bret and insinuating he was having an affair with Sunny. So when Bret Hart gets home from that trip, his wife wanted to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
And the irony is, guess who was having an affair with Sunny?
Right.
Shawn Michaels. Right. So interesting. Bret signs that 20-year contract, and Shawn just had no interest in putting Bret over, even though Bret had put Shawn over at WrestleMania in 1996. And so all these things are happening back and forth. And then, of course, we go into Survivor Series 1997, and they're not speaking. They're at odds. Vince tells Bret he can't afford to pay him. It's wild. But
yeah,
I don't know. There's obviously a million questions that you would ask Vince McMahon if he had his own podcast. Right. And who knows if he would answer him truthfully? Who knows what kind of bizarre behavior you'd get just based on that Netflix documentary and the interviews that you did. But I think one of the questions that we'd love to know is, in this era, did Vince McMahon want Bret Hart to stay, or did he want Bret Hart to leave? Because, Jeff, what I mean by that is, clearly there were financial issues, and Vince was trying to get out from under the contract of Bret. But the question is, if Bret said, look, Vince, I'll work for free, you can make it up to me once business turns around, would Vince have wanted him to stay, or did Vince just want him gone?
Good point.
Because my belief is, if Vince wanted Bret to stay, Bret would have stayed. If Vince wanted to smooth things over with Shawn and Bret, he would have. It just feels like Vince just didn't want Bret in the company anymore, which is kind of wild because he was a main eventer, super hot, global star, huge in Canada. I find it hard to believe that it was beyond reconciliation. And I understand people are tough, people are complex, but I find it hard to believe with Vince McMahon's influence, he couldn't have sat these two down and figured it out. And he couldn't have sat Bret down individually and said, look, we're in a horrible spot financially, but if you trust me, we are going to turn business around. You are going to make millions of dollars. There's so much money in your issue with Shawn. There's so much money in your issue with Austin. The Hart Foundation thing is super hot. Let's just work together. You're like a son to me, and I want to make this right. So I don't know. I find it hard to believe that wasn't all possible.
So I think that you brought it up. I think the Sunny Days comment more than a lot of this kind of wrecked part of this, because kind of in my research on this one, and we've all heard of it. Like, there was a real fight that these guys had in early June, even before this SummerSlam. So, like I said, we're August 3rd. We're looking at early June was when it reportedly happened in Hartford, and it was because of Bret confronting Shawn because of the Sunny Days comment. It escalated into more of a physical fight in the back. All kinds of different reports. We'll never know exactly what happened, but Shawn actually took a little bit of time off. He no-showed some house shows. Vince, they tried to mediate some peace between those, but Bret was just never going to trust Shawn after that. And so they may have been able to work together, but Bret hated Shawn forever at that point. And so that was just, they were actually supposed to have, and I couldn't find a ton on this, but they were supposed to have a match at King of the Ring 1997. And kind of how that played out too. I'm trying to dig in a little bit here. But that was because of everything that happened. And so when it was really kind of a rematch of that WrestleMania 12 Iron Man, and wanted to do that. And it was going to be, and there's some other stipulations eventually and things that happened, and they were in the ring together, but that was going to be their first one-on-one match since that WrestleMania match, and it didn't work out between the two. And so, yeah, I think, like you said, there was, and we didn't necessarily know it, or nobody really knew it at the time, like the animosity that was going on with a lot of this. Like, of course, you may have heard something here and there, but it's just a time where now we know the politics behind the scenes were way more in play than any of us really thought. So yeah, good match so far. Yeah,
I just find it so hard to believe that Vince McMahon, with all his power and influence, wasn't able to say, look, guys, if you can stop ripping each other's hair out, literally, you guys can make millions of dollars over the next couple of years.
Be the face of the company forever. Yeah.
Right. I mean, and there's just so many elements to this, right? So what happens if you get Sean Bret 2, Sean Bret 3?
Yeah.
How Shawn Michaels' back doesn't get hurt if he isn't working a casket match in January. I mean, there's just so many elements to this, but I don't know. It just is hard for me to believe that it all ended the way it did. But people are tough, and there's a lot of emotional baggage that goes into this. But all right, we got Paul Bear at ringside. Paul Bear, of course, not affiliated with The Undertaker at this point. This would have been a year
working with
after
Mankind.
a year after their split at SummerSlam 1996.
Yep. So just kind of hanging out ringside. Yep.
The orange hair always creeped me out with Paul Bear.
Yeah, I know. We're so used to what we had growing up. Okay, so a little bit more methodical at this point. Like they were kind of working tough, but they currently kind of Bret's got them locked up, kind of a little bit of mat work at this point, and just kind of getting a little bit more slow and methodical. Taker as well too. Yep. Sean, to this point, not really too involved. Oh, but Taker taking out Paul Bear. I always thought it was cool when Paul Bearer would take a shot because he's such a big dude. Like you wouldn't think like he'd be able to take a bump, but boy, he bumped all over the place. Yep.
It always makes it confusing. You know, anytime a wrestler is the special guest referee, I think it almost always takes away from the match. I mean, there are exceptions, but few and far between. And then the fact that Sean's like a heel, but he's kind of playing neutral, I just think it makes it confusing and not really as enjoyable.
Yep. So Paul Bearer being taken to the back now. Guy in the front. Was that you in the front row in the muscle tank in the ECW shirt? Like that's
fortunately not.
Unfortunately, yeah. So Bret kind of rolling Taker back into the ring at this point. So because we love Bill Goldberg around here. Well, Bret Hart, what would it ever take for Bret Hart to not hate Bill Goldberg?
Impossible.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
That one is absolutely impossible. I mean, Bret's Bret. That part of it is they're probably two of the most stubborn wrestlers in a very stubborn industry, right? I mean, Goldberg's not budging on anything. Bret's not budging on anything. So the two of them, even if you put them in the room, I just don't think they're just never going to agree on that. You know, Bret's contention is you did something that cost me my career because you were sloppy. And Goldberg's contention is I kicked you. That's what we do in matches.
Yeah. See, now you got Owen and Pillman.
It's tough to go back and watch, though. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, you got Owen and Pillman now at the ringside, kind of potentially getting involved. They're just kind of standing there as well, too. Sean kind of distracted a little bit, but obviously out there for Bret. Yep.
Hard to believe that Bret's not involved in training wrestlers at all. And I know he lives in a pretty remote area, but Bret feels like the type of guy that would do well at the Performance Center.
Yeah, part of me wonders, is it because it's Sean and Bret, so who knows what would actually come from that. So that could be a little bit weird. It's just you would think, I'm right there with you. Like he's got that kind of wealth of knowledge, and maybe they just don't want it to kind of be around. But yeah,
it just feels like he'd be great to have down there. I mean, there's a lot of guys that fall in that category.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you see a scenario where CM Punk replaces Shawn Michaels in the future?
No, I don't. I think that he may eventually. I think that he's got an interesting role, I think, right now that we don't really talk about much, in that I do think he does a lot of coaching and like behind the scenes kind of work with some people during the weekly shows. So I'm almost wondering if there's like a carve out for him to kind of be one of those, like be a consultant, be a kind of, producer, not even a producer necessarily, but, we know he works with Roxanne a lot. We know that Bailey loves him. We know there's a lot of wrestlers that, maybe not Seth Rollins, but some of these younger guys that do look up to him. And, he did play a big part. I think that I don't think, no, he'll be running NXT. I'm going to guess he doesn't want to, but who knows, prove me wrong. But I think that like kind of being this mentor role behind the scenes, like, hey, like, next time, like, make sure to hold the belt higher. Like next time, make sure, when you go out, like pause for a second, like let the fans, let it build a little bit. So I think that he's got a nose for some of that to kind of help with some of that. Maybe it's obviously promo work is something that he's decent at. And so something that he could do there as well too. So yeah, it's just hard to say. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be the Sean role. I think Sean is probably enjoying that too much. Yeah, there'll be a day where there's got to be somebody else. But yeah, I think that my read of it is he enjoys being there, like with some of these people that are on TV every week. And yes, NXT people are, but a little bit more so, the Raw, the SmackDown, kind of being involved in that. I could definitely, with how I say little he's wrestling for good reasons. He doesn't need to be wrestling every week like AEW was trying to put him out there. Like he's got to be healthy. He's got to be feeling good. He's probably getting better care than he was at AEW. So yeah, it's just it's going to be it's weird to think we are in the next 5 years where wrestling is going to be. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I don't know. Well, do you think he will? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like Punk could be the guy that is deeply involved in the business for the rest of his life. I could see him at NXT. I could see him, in a some type of development role on the main roster. It's just interesting because there's not a whole hell of a lot of guys that I feel could potentially succeed Triple H and HBK. I mean, it's funny. Yeah. Everyone, the internet doesn't seem to like either of them right now, especially Triple H. You tell me who you want in that role.
Yeah.
Those gigs are so tough. I think the NXT gig is incredibly difficult. I mean, you're getting these raw athletes, and you've got to create a character, teach them how to cut a promo, teach them how to work in the ring, be safe, understand psychology, get them over to a new audience. I mean, and do it all on national TV. I think that's brutal. But then the main roster. I mean, you've got 15 PLEs, 4 Saturday nights main events. Netflix wants great shows for 2.5 hours a week. USA needs 3 hours of SmackDown a week. You got incredibly cynical, tough to please fans. I mean, it's just brutal. So who's out there? Oh, I don't like Triple H. Okay, well then who do you want? Who's going to work 60 hours a week, be gone from their family half the week, taking jets in the middle of the night to get from one city to another or one country to another? Who's in that role? And oh, by the way, you're going to like the way they book, and they're going to have the respect of the performers, and they're going to be creative. And so be careful what you wish for.
Well, and I wonder with TKO, we are starting to see TKO, kind of putting their finger in the cookie jar, putting their hand in the cookie jar a little bit more on certain things. Like, kind of thinking out loud here, like, will there be a day where there is not someone that was like a wrestler or as ingrained in WWE on the TKO board? Like, will there be a day where there isn't like someone WWE affiliated, like we know them, like not on that board anymore? Is that like, could that happen in the next 15, 10?
Look, I mean, here's the thing. WWE is almost half the value of TKO, all right. And in some ways is a better property than UFC. I mean, right. So there's pros and cons to each. I think TKO's involvement is a bit overstated. Are they putting ads on the mat? Yes. Are they generating way more money in corporate sponsorships? Of course they are. But I don't think Ari Emanuel, I don't think Mark Shapiro, I don't think these guys are sitting there going, oh, I'd like to push Roman Reigns a little less. Like, I just don't think they're involved. I think they trust Nick Khan, they trust Triple H, but at the same time, they're taking best practices of UFC, which has done a much better job monetizing through ads and partnerships. I think they're incorporating that.
Yeah.
I think they're incorporating some of the production that frankly needed modernized because Kevin Dunn was producing WWE television the same way in 2023 as he did in 1997. It looked the exact same. So the drones, the different shots, that they really modernized that. So I think production wise, I think business wise, yes, they're doing different things, but I don't think, I know it's fun for like the internet wrestling fan to like think that Ari Emanuel's, talking about whether or not LA Knight should win the Money in the Bank briefcase. I don't think they give a shit. I think they want full houses and they want to monetize the product as best they can, charge as much for tickets as they want, get as much of the premium seating and premium packages as they can. And they're doing a pretty damn good job of it. And if you don't like it, don't go to the show. Don't buy the overpriced merchandise. Don't buy the $10,000 ringside seat.
At the end of the day, like the ladder being branded Fireball does not impact what you and I do. Like no. Slim Jim putting a decal on a table, again, not going to impact our day to day. Do I think sometimes the ring, the mat can look a little busy? Yeah, but okay. Every other sport on the planet is trying to monetize every single inch of space that they can. Like, look at international jerseys for soccer or football. Like, it's everywhere. Like, they don't have the team name on there. Like, we're flying Emirates, and so I think that, yeah, and maybe that I get it. Like, we've heard the rumor, like Vince didn't want that. Like, that was, something he said, or they're rumored to have said, and, he wanted to keep it clean. But okay, like, times are changing. Like, we got to make a buck. Like, they are trying to make a buck. And they do. Why wouldn't you every single week? If you got 2, 3, 2 hours, 3 hours, an hour, all the different programming you have. Yeah. Why wouldn't you try and sell the space for that? Like, yeah, I'd like to get a payoff logo on there. Like, I'm sure we could, figure something out. And so, yeah, I think it's just, it is really interesting, but also it doesn't impact the product like so many people want to complain that it does. Undertaker high flying a little bit there. You got Michael's sweating bullets. Like, we're getting real kind of going on long here at this point, but been a good match though so far.
Jeff, the other thing too is, you alluded to this, but people get so caught up in the ads, and to your point, you ever watch an NFL game? You ever watch a soccer match? You got logos, patches. I think every pro sports league has, I guess NFL doesn't have ads on the jerseys. I know the NBA and I think MLB do. Yeah, they do. Okay. advertisements on, go to a baseball stadium. You're going to see 50 corporate logos everywhere.
Yeah.
On the field, behind the pitching, on the wall, in the stands. So, all that they're doing is the same thing that everyone else is doing. Okay. Yep. The other thing too, so people are worked up about ticket prices. And I get it.
Yep.
Bro, I'd love to be on the floor at WrestleMania for $75 like I used to. Okay.
Like we used to. Yep.
Yeah. Guess what? You know what it costs to sit on the floor at Taylor Swift? I don't even know. It's like $5,000 probably. Like everything's expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Pick your favorite band, your favorite sports event. Tickets are really, really expensive. And remember, the WWE, UFC, TKO, they're publicly traded companies that have a fiduciary responsibility to make as much money as possible for their shareholders.
Yep.
So what do you want them to do? Oh, we're not going to raise ticket prices, even though ticket prices for everything have gone up. So you can't, you have to have a wider view of the world when looking at what WWE is doing.
Yeah.
And some of the things that they're now just doing were because Vince McMahon had pet peeves. That's the only reason there weren't ads on the mat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Vince or Kevin Dunn or both of them just personally did not like it.
Well, and I'm sure you've seen the chatter too. Part of it is just, I feel like we're going to get this rumor every couple of months, but the Vince is going to buy it all back.
It's impossible.
And change it. Well, and he doesn't have the money, which they've said multiple times. Like it would have to be an investment group with him. But like, do you, and obviously we can't read his mind, but do you really think Vince is sitting around being like, how can I come up with the money to get my company back?
Maybe. But I also think he's smart enough to know that it's not really possible. So Vince goes to the Saudis and says, let's go into business together and get this company. What amount of money would it take? Well, TKO paid whatever it is, $6-7 billion. And they've grown the business significantly.
Yep.
They're making a lot of money. They've combined a lot of resources between WWE and UFC to create synergies.
Mm-hmm.
What would they sell the WWE property for? It would probably take 12 billion.
Yeah.
So, is there a number? Sure. The Saudi government or whoever it is, they still need to make smart investments. So would they pay $12 billion? Well, I don't know why they would. And I'd argue for $12 billion, they would just start their own federation.
So I'm looking to, this is market cap is 13.49 billion.
For TKO?
For just WWE. And so you figure it's got to probably be pressing close to 18, 20 for them to say, yeah, sure, take it. But you got to give us an extra couple billion. It's just not going to happen. And so, yeah. So
again, realistically, the reality is, okay, WWE's standalone market cap is 13.49 billion. All right.
Bret with the big chair shot there to TAKER.
So what would it take? It would probably take the better part of $20 billion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because TKO's worth $24 billion. So WWE is worth almost half of TKO.
Yep.
And I believe they're more profitable than UFC, if I'm not mistaken. But
that would make sense. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, again, so where is Vince McMahon coming up with $20 billion? And I'm not saying it's impossible, but it is probably very, very unlikely. And now the other question. Okay, so here we go. So now Sean and Bret just talked to Loogie. Gets taken with a chair by accident.
The chair shot. Yep. Sean having to do the count. Yep. Immediately to the back with Sean.
And that's it.
The crowd seems to enjoy it. I feel like it's a little bit tepid, but yeah.
Well, the challenge here, Jeff, is the heel won.
Yeah.
It was kind of confusing. I don't know. So, all right, that's it. Let's get to the aftermath.
Ho! It's time for the aftermath.
What'd you think?
Better than expected. I thought that there was a lot of in-ring kind of psychology there to what was happening, but also like I can't not think about the behind the scenes and what was going on at this time. And so, they're throwing shit into the ring, throwing it at Bret, like real true sign of a heel. They've even got like security surrounding the ring a little bit. I see some guys in jackets, but yeah. So, good overall though.
It was good, but not great. I just think there were just a lot of shenanigans, as you like to say. I mean, you had the Shawn Michaels referee thing, you had the Hart Foundation out, you had Paul Bearer out, ref bump. It was just a lot, man. I thought it was long and a lot.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah. So this one, getting into it a little bit, like we saw, there was the interference, there was all kinds of things. It was a longer match. You had this kind of methodical approach to it, and kind of what they did. So Bret, 5-time WWE champion at this point, of course, the anti-American, Hart Foundation. He held the belt until Survivor Series 1997. I feel like that match had some significance, and so lost the belt at that one, of course. Taker began feuding with Shawn, actually, on this one. This led to the eventual In Your House Bad Blood Hell in a Cell match, where you had the debut of Kane as well, too. And so he was out kind of early 98, but then kind of getting into it with Kane and stuff like that. And then Michaels, like I said, he had these, he was full heel at this point too. We had the match obviously culminating in Montreal. And so we've talked a lot about it throughout this one, and that match itself, over the course of this whole show. So, I missed Bret kind of doing the little Shawn heel move there. That was funny. So anyways, all right. So PWI, your guest referee was 18. Undertaker was 6. Bret Hart was 20. 3.5 stars from the star giver Dave Meltzer. While not the most action-packed bout, lauded for its tension, storytelling, and the layers of real-world conflict under the surface. So, what are you thinking here? I'm not really sure. What are you thinking for a score here?
I didn't like it.
Okay.
I didn't like the match. I didn't like how it was overbooked. I thought it was too long. I got this thing at a 5. I just it did not hit for me at all.
It was 10 minutes too long. The ending, it's hard to. I get it. You got where you needed to go, and you had some plans, with Kane debuting and some other things on the horizon here. But hard to say. When you're sitting on a 20-year contract, it's really hard to say what was, what's going to happen and what's in the hopper. But we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But I'm going to go with. I'm right there with you. I got to give it a 5 too. Like, it just doesn't feel. It feels weird, but that's just kind of how it is. Yeah.
It's disappointing. A little disappointing. What do we have coming up next? I do not know.
You don't. Yeah, I haven't told you. So we still got a couple more SummerSlam matches here. I talked about we're going to do Power and Glory versus the Rockers next week. Just a quick match here, but give you some Shawn Michaels action because we haven't. I see the $1 Million Man versus Virgil and their SummerSlam match on there as well too. And then getting into next month, I see there was we're gonna do another Sabu match with Too Cold Scorpio because that was one when Sabu passed that everyone's like, you got to go watch this match, and so that's the match that we're gonna cover soon here and talk about that one a little bit. I see too a hidden one that I sent you the link on it. I said don't watch it, but the WWE Vault added the Goldust Shawn Michaels ladder match from 1996 for the World Heavyweight Championship at the WWE Experience show. And so I got no clue what we're getting with that one, but I see a Cody Rhodes and Goldust taking on Roman and Seth match. We got all kinds of stuff on the docket here. I'm excited for what we got over the next August into September. We'll just have to see what happens, but yeah.
Cool. All right, man. Great work as always.
Yes, good stuff. Good episode. Like, it's not a great match, but always enjoy, sending them home happy though.
Good, man. Well, appreciate you. Appreciate everyone listening. As always, this is fun for us, and we hope you enjoy it. Nice little distraction from all the bullshit of the real world.
Right.
And we'll see everyone next week on an all-new episode of The Path.